Today I'm going to be explaining my favorite way to start a portrait, Selective Start. I'm painting on a 12 by 12 square canvas, and the first thing I do is I make grid lines where I divide the canvas equally into quarters. This is the only kind of marks that I put on the canvas when I'm starting. I don't do any sort of drawing or sketching beforehand. Just the grid. It's kind of like an armature to people that do clay work. It just keeps everything in check, keeps your head from growing too large or laying on the canvas too small. And I get my palette mixed up before I actually start painting. I like to mix my mid value, light value, and dark values, and that way I have a good starting point. And of course, those paint colors get mixed together to create new paint colors as I'm working. So even before I thought about starting to paint, I did a great deal of analysis of my reference image. I pull it up in Photoshop and I look at the value structure of the reference image. I do some color analysis. I've even been known to sit and stare at my blank canvas and I visualize my painting appearing on the canvas in my mind's eye. Don't laugh, it helps. So there's a lot of prep work before I even start to actually paint. Welcome to my channel, Shelly J. Cox. Come along with me on my art journey by subscribing to the channel. So once I start painting, I constantly am checking with my proportion tool the measurements for the features. So I have my computer screen and it's 1-to-1 measuring, and I'm just making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be and it didn't grow too large or I didn't put it down too small. I like to go ahead and put a lot of the brush strokes down and then check the measurement. I'm usually pretty close, and if I need to adjust anything, that's okay. I could do that. That's the beauty of oil painting. While I'm working on the eyes, I'm constantly measuring. I don't want the eyes to be in the wrong place because everything that I do building out from the eyes is based on where the eyes are. Now with Selective Start, you can pick any place you want on the face to start your portrait. Often I'll start with an eye, but I have been known to start with the mouth. And even sometimes if it's a dark background, I like to start with the forehead, believe it or not, because then I can incorporate some of that background and then just work down from there. So with Selective Start, you can pick any part of the face that you want to start with. It doesn't matter, there's no wrong or right answer. This is by far my favorite starting method. I use it most often when I'm doing portraits, especially head and shoulders. Hey everybody, I just wanted to jump on camera today and let you know about an upcoming workshop that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be live and I'm going to go over the 3 starting methods that I've been using to start portrait painting since I began doing portraits. And especially we're going to focus on the Selective Start method that you're seeing today in this video. So there's limited space and I want to make sure that you guys grab a seat. So go into the description below, put your name on the waiting list. It's a free workshop and I hope to see you there. I feel like with the Selective Start method, I'm freer, my brush strokes are more spontaneous and alive. I can usually get expression from my portraits much easier than if I'm trying to stay within certain confines. And quite frankly, this is more fun to me. And if I'm not having fun when I'm painting, then what's the point? And with this Selective Start method, you're laying down your brush strokes in the correct spot, in the correct color. So each time I'm laying down a brush stroke, I'm looking for the opportunity to make a really cool mark. So certain brush strokes are going to be left if it ends up making a mark that I think really works well in the portrait. There's a lot of opportunity to make really cool brush marks on the left side of the face here. Since the right side, the shadow side of the face, is closer to the viewer, I want that side to be in more detail, crisper, sharper edges. And as we're moving away, deeper, further away from the viewer, I want that to blur a little bit. I'm really working on grabbing some depth of field here and making the focal point of this painting the eye on the right. So I'm going to be really going into some more detail about the Selective Start and the other two starting methods in the free workshop that I have coming up. So I hope you guys don't forget to go into the description and put your name on the waiting list. So as I mentioned with Selective Start, I'm really looking for opportunities to make really cool brush marks. So I use what are known as combers, and they're look like little combs. Your hairs have spaces in between them on the ends, and those brushes make really great marks, especially when you're doing some of your edges and you know you don't want that edge to have a hard line. Now with Selective Start, you want to get your brush marks down, you want to keep them loose. Really, your brush stroke should be just about the same length as the length of the hairs on your brush. You don't want to be blending and mushing your brush strokes together. Let each stroke just land and leave it alone. You can put another one next to it, another one on top of it. They can overlap, but don't start blending. And then once you get the whole head down, then you can go back into the face and do what I like to call refinements. So I love this part of the portrait process. I feel like, okay, I've done all the hard work. I've got everything down in the right place. Everything's pretty much the correct value. Now I just want to go in, refine some of the transitions, make sure there's hard areas, there's soft areas, there's kind of an in-between of the two, and things are shaping up the way that I want them to. So how much or how little that you refine a portrait is really up to your personal taste. I like my portraits to go pretty close to realism in the focal point. And the further away that I move from the focal point, I want it to sort of get more painterly and expressive and look like a painting. So I wanted this portrait to have a modern feel to it, so I'm adding this pink background. It's a Michael Harding brilliant pink, and I just really think it's a quick, easy way to modernize a portrait. And it doesn't hurt that it happens to be one of my favorite colors. Also, did you notice the cool Rembrandt lighting that we've got portrayed here? So I'm just going to pull in a few elements of the hair and then move into this flower. Now I don't want this flower to steal the show away from that eye, and what I'm thinking about while I'm painting this is keeping the values pretty close to the color of the hair and just keeping it subtle. I don't want it to draw your eye too much, and that can be controlled with values. So here's a look at the finished product and my messy palette. As you can see towards the end, I've created lots of new colors from the starting point. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you got some value out of this, and don't forget to put your name on the waiting list for the free workshop.